Francine Duduwa Tugupa, Waikiki Health Director of Native Hawaiian Healing, as well as the Puhonua Prison Program. I've been here in this office for about 20 years and doing Native Hawaiian healing here. Very thankful to Waikiki Health because they're basically the first health center that had a Native Hawaiian practitioner on board and recognized as a Hawaiian provider here, working alongside of our doctors here to offer better health care to our clients who necessarily don't want to always do Western medicine. I originally come from Molokai. I was one of 9 grandchildren that my grandmother raised. She had 18 children, and her belief was the first grandchild belonged to her. So she not only raised her 18 children, she also raised 9 of us. And I was the only girl, I was the youngest. My father was the baby of the family. I actually transferred here to Honolulu when I was 13. Originally supposed to go to Kamehameha, was accepted into Kamehameha, but climbing that mountain that, in those days, as we're riding up, I didn't think it was a perfect fit for me. It made my grandmother very upset because she was an alumni. So my grandmother took me down the hill, took me to my aunt, and I went to Radford. Was there for a couple of years and then went as an exchange student to Arizona. Came back and graduated out of Lelua. So been all over the place. I had, my grandmother was a healer, her mother was a healer, her grandmother was a healer. So they all had different modalities. My grandmother was a master in Ho'oponopono. My great-grandmother was a master of La'au. And then my great-great-grandmother, she was a master of La'au Kahea. So when my grandmother wanted to train me, I didn't want to be in a place where everybody was in my yard. She worked 6 days a week, seeing people on the island of Molokai, with many people coming. They would fly in, they would stay on the island for a few days, they would see my grandmother, and it was pretty much first come, first serve. And I just thought I didn't want a life like that. So I let my grandmother know that I was going to go to school and I was going to be a nurse. So when I entered into the University of Hawaii, I ended up specializing in geriatrics. So my first job coming out of college was the supervisor at St. Francis Hospital on a hospice floor. So I had a lot of prominent Hawaiians, these beautiful, big kupunas, and just humongous people in our society. And I just thought that was my calling. It was so overwhelming for me to be able to help people pass to another level, to help the families understand that this is not a contagious thing, to be more loving. But I didn't last long there. I had already been married. I already had started my family, and my husband got transferred to Maui. Now, I lived in Kapalua, which is on the west side, and if I was going to work in the hospital, I would have to take an hour and 45-minute ride on a one road that only, 2 ways, going and coming. That's all you got. I chose not to do that. So I went to work for the Hyatt. I lasted about 2 months there before my grandmother found out that I wasn't in nursing. So she came with my aunt. This aunt is really the glue of our family. She helped raise me as well, and my other cousins. But yeah, she came and she basically said, if you're not going to do what you're going to do, then you're going to do what you were meant to do. So I packed up my children, off we went. So I had, my training was not like, you go to school, you're trained, everything's book smart. But when you're training with healers, everything is about the aina. It's about the aina, where you come from, that root, why you grow to who you are. It's because of the aina. So I remember my grandmother going, okay, she goes, this is the first day of the rest of your life. She says, you go outside, you pull weeds. Pull weeds? I'm going to pull weeds? So, of course, with a bad attitude, I went outside and pull weeds and pull weeds. But after a while, it becomes a game. Let's see if we can pull the weeds until we get all the root. And it took me about a month before that yard was really great. My grandmother had a quarter acre of Hawaiian homes. Learning from my grandmother, it was about a good month before my grandmother came to me and she said, how you doing out here? Well, you got a great yard. Yeah, I'm good. I get suntan, don't gotta do anything, I'm pulling weeds, life is good. My grandmother says, well, what did you learn? And I said, well, I learned that the fruits of your labor will always show you how much you receive from a lot of hard work. So my grandmother says, oh. I said, that's not the lesson. She goes, did you learn patience? Patience? You want me to learn patience? Wow, okay, no. It's not a good thing. I stayed with my grandmother. I took lessons from her for about almost 5 years. And then she turned me over to my aunt, who also lived on Molokai. And she says, you are different than a lot of people. I don't want you just to do one thing and be good at the one thing. I want you to do 3 things and be great at 3 things. So I learned from my Aunt Lao, again, back out in the yard, pulling weeds. Well, I thought the weeds I were pulling were like, those were Lao. So I had to replant everything I pulled, and then had to learn on the importance of what your hand feels, what your spirit feels, what's talking to you, what's not talking to you. You should be able to go out, and if you're on, down by the beach, we have puhakus, the small river stones. She says, you should already know who's wanting to be picked. These are the things that you're going to learn. 5 years there. Then, they sent me back to Maui, to my uncle, who is Uncle Kalua Kaiahua, who his mother, his blind aunt, taught him. His mother was a nurse, his father was La'au. So here I am in this house. I'm going, oh my God, this is what I'm going to look like. This is what I'm going to look like. This is so great. I thought, okay, I'm ready to go out in the yard. Everybody puts me in the yard. And he goes, no, I'm just going to give you this wax and this puff. And I want you to wax my car. Wax my car. I thought, you guys are just a piece of work. Okay. It's all good. What do you want me to do for you? Well, what happened was I helped him to open 2 schools, one on Maui, one on Oahu. I learned the importance of communication with patients that are making, it's like a long list of people trying to get in to see him. I got to do that. I got to watch him work. I got to listen to him talk. I couldn't get enough of this uncle until, my time was up and it was time for me to go. Keakua, I went back to Molokai and I started from my own home. Still part of the Native Hawaiian healthcare, which was passed. It was implemented very well on every island. Molokai was no exception. Being able to work with our people on Molokai, looking at their history on meds. I was finding that a lot of my kupuna at that time were dying of heart disease, and I wanted to know why. So it was a matter of working with them, on them, being able, if they didn't have, if checking out their medicines, advocating for them at the doctor's office, because we don't have a lot of big choices on small islands. You have to use what we got, but we do have a lot of great people. So it was really great for me to know that I had the best of 2 worlds. So eventually it brought me here. And being here, I worked all along the North Shore with Ke'olamamo in all the sites that they had, proving the fact that our people would rather be treated by their own. And I've never been blessed so much. You go in the country and they come with their ole and they come with their baby pigs to give you what is from their heart. Plants, bananas, whatever. It was never about money. It was always about survival. I think that's the word I'm going to use, is more survival. So I went every day to a different site on the North Shore with Ke'olamamo. And then when that money ran out, it was St. Francis that took it up. So we didn't have as many sites. We got rid of a few sites. And then when that money ran out, it was Waikiki Health that helped. to survive on the North Shore. I've been there. I was on the North Shore for about 17 years, and just to know that our Hawaiian people were stable, stable because they better medicine, they took their medicine, they ate better, exercising, not realizing that if you walk your mo'opuna down the street, you gotta come back, that's exercise. And really being able to be invited to their home to say, let me see what you got, and let's see what we can make the healthiest way to do this. But I did a lot of teaching on the North Shore, teaching people to help their kupuna blood circulation. The legs the circulation isn't that good. How do you help? I'll be back next week. I'll be able to see, but this is what you need to do for me while I'm away. Frank Chong here was the guy who just said, this is what we're going to take this over, and under his guidance, the first award that was ever given to for cultural medicine was Models That Work out of Washington, D.C. So I was able to go to Washington, D.C. and be there for the presentation of that, because it's two worlds blended into one, and it's still that way. Coming back, being here, being accessible, really being accessible. I pretty much have an open door policy. It's kind of harder for me now. When I say that, I mean that, we all grow, and you never know when Keokua is going to say, hey, we'll do this, and you need to learn about this, and that this is a prison program now. So it's helping our Native Hawaiians in the prisons and Pacific Islanders about trying to give all these men and women a solid foundation, at least a big chance coming out to help to possibly, hopefully, cut the recidivism rate. So it is about hopefully reconnecting them with their families. It's really harder because bridges have been burned. But I look at this society today, but we've been really, truly, a lot of us have been disconnected. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying everybody's disconnected, because I know my family isn't, but I know other families are disconnected. And that's painful, because then that stops growth. And when that stops growth, then you're pretty much no longer this big ohana or this big hui. One thing that I make very sure is that everybody is treated equal. There is no judgment. You're not looking at the person, you're looking at the willfulness of where are they really. A lot of them, a lot of fear, coming out, don't know what they're going to do, knowing that they can't go home. What is their alternative? Maybe I should go into a shelter. At least I'm going to have a shelter over my head. I don't want to revisit my footprints. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. So what do we do? Through HMSA, they have allowed me to give them such a strong foundation. So when we go in with the applications for registration for our medical home, which would be us, which you can change at any given time, but this is a beginning. Then there's the medical application for MedQuest, which doesn't get submitted until they come out. So the day of their release, they're giving us a call, we can submit that application. It has gotten to the point where it's really, really good that we can get them the medical within 24 hours. That's great. Then they have to come in and see eligibility. People like Hanoi, Cheryl, that will also get them. We have their applications for SNAP, SNAP and financial aid, and they're entitled to that. They're entitled to that. If you have lost your legal documents, then we're here to tell you where we're going to send you. This is how it's going to work. First of all, we're going to do the Social Security. Next thing we're going to do is birth certificate. After that, maybe a state ID, or maybe reinstate your driver's license. That has it hasn't expired. So pay the $6, let them get a duplicate copy. Just that alone, I look at every individual. I know when I was growing up, my grandmother used to say, you're only somebody when you have shelter over your head, clothes in your back, food in your mouth. That's when you're somebody. And that can mean you could be under a tin roof and you've got bananas, You got things off the aina. It doesn't mean that we're in this big fancy house or this huge fancy house with every, it doesn't take $1 million to live. You know, if you think you're worth if you think you're worth more than what you really are, then you're going to be really disappointed in life. So with these kids, these young boys and women in the prisons, we try to give them hope. We also like to talk to them about what does your road to success mean? What does it look like? You know, we're starting from here and we're moving forward. We just need to know, what does it look like for you? And help them to stay pono enough to obtain some of those goals, so that from that goal then you set some more goals. And it will always be a pathway of growth. And that's what we want to do. I'd love to say we're going to save all, but we know we're not going to save all. But I can tell you honestly, within the last 6 months of this grant, we saw 474 clients, inmates. And out of that 474, 45 have returned. I love going in. I love being with these kids. It's really sad because the unification of a family is going to take a long time. And I make sure that they understand that. You know, you don't just pop at your mom's door after you've taken everything and sold it out from under her and say, hello, here I am. She don't want to see you. But if you show up and say, Mom, I'm not here. I have my own. I just wanted to say hello, give you a hug, and that's it. Then it's good. You know, you're planting a seed of forgiveness. And that's where we want to be. We want to plant that seed of forgiveness, because the world not waiting for you. They're not. And that's just hardcore, tough love information that I'm sharing with you. So it's important that they do have a safe haven, or they have somebody to talk to. Every day is an adventure in my life. It is. And I think that until Keokua gets you to where he really wants, he's going to keep pushing you and trying you and giving you gifts of bigger discernment. Having this program has done that, and like in warp speed. It was like, this is what you got to do, and you got tomorrow to do it. You know, and that means changing, working with these guys, giving them the chance of hope, hoping that there is a really great, that they walk away with hope in their heart. But for me, it's like, okay, you know, now you're getting real political. Now you need to jump to this group. Now you're going to these meetings. And I'm in more meetings and more meetings. And this is where I come back to Duloni, and I just get to ground. Waikiki Health allows me to be me, and also for the clients to be them. So if they're not people that really want to use Western medicine, then they'll make a referral to me. And if I have that out for them, absolutely, because I've tested it, I know what it does, I know what the results will be if you pay attention to what you have to do. It's like anything else. You have instructions. If you follow the instructions, chances are it'll be really, really good. But if you don't and you make up your own rules, then no blame the la'au. You blame you're not paying attention. The process is to allow them to talk. Yeah, I'm gonna know what you need when you come, but you know, I have people that come in here that are definitely afraid to come in here. You know, their mother says you gotta go, and they come in here and they don't know. You know, it's like, well, I know more than what you think I know. So, you know, to just take that edge off, I'll look for something physical, so it's a touch, and then talk to me. Why are you here? You know, if people come in here and say, my mother said, I would say, go back and tell your mother, give me a call. You go. Because this is not about your mother. This is about you. And if you're ready for that healing, that's going to happen. We're going to kuka, we're going to find that language that's your language, and we're going to get to the root of this and say, okay, where is the forgiveness in all of this? Because that's where we really need to start. Do we need to start with you forgiving yourself or you forgiving others? But somewhere along this line, there's going to be a whole lot of forgiving. And it has to be an easy place for people to feel comfortable. You know, sometimes Kanoe gotta leave because, you know, they're not comfortable, and they're not comfortable with them. So if they're gonna talk to me, they don't want to talk to the world, so they're gonna talk to me. But I just, you know, I already know before you come, or when I see you, you know, I already know, but you gotta be willing to let us know. So I'm not gonna take what I know and make it invasive, that I'm gonna, you know, I'm just gonna step over the boundary and just get into your kuleana and let's go from there. But I am gonna help you along the way. I am gonna say some things that you want to hear, and probably some things you don't want to hear. But again, that's things that need to be said, and that's just because I know that's where Keoko wants me to go. So being an instrument is a great commodity for me. Even, you know, for other people, for myself, it's a great instrument. We don't know how to deal with the millenniums, you know, the younger generation today, which moves on a very fast pace. Very few people are working the aina. You know, people don't want to cultivate. They don't want to go, you know, gather the right foods to make the right foods. Everything is a fast pace. You know, at a younger age, diabetes is more prominent, hypertension is more prominent, stress levels are just off the chart, which is very sad. And I think with the millenniums this year, now, I don't know where that begins and where that ends. So training is not really there. When you're talking about spiritual training, when you're talking about training in itself, if it's not this, it's not fast, then they're not going to do it. So training for me normally comes with people that are 45, 50. People who have figured out what they want to be in life and are on their way. And it's good because they're taking care of other people. So that's really great. For a while there, I taught a lot of people that are now actually, so that they can charge, they do their LNTs, you know, their license, they incorporate Lomi. Based on how I learned, there was never money added to that factor. My grandmother made it very clear, you're not worth all that. So I tell all my clients, you know, all my students, it's not about the money. If you're here for the money, please don't. You know, because then you're just exploiting something that this comes from my kupuna. I have passed on a book that I wrote for my children. I passed it on to that. I have, in our family, we have our own genealogist. And with that genealogy is also this individual who wrote only for our family. He is the glue from between my generation and my children. So this is the solid of my ohana. My family is a Kale Mamahu, so Kale Mamahu is half brothers to commitment first. So our genealogy is pretty much printed, and we are pretty much very, very active with one another. Of course, the Naturua family is huge. It's about 8,600 strong, and very close families. My kids have a book of my teachings. They all know how to do, but I have two that if I should die tomorrow, could literally come in and they won't be their mother, but they can come in and they can do what I do. But I have 18 grandchildren, and my 18 grandchildren are learning. So it's amazing what Keakua will do, because they all have their own gifts, and some are very, very strong because they're connected to the Aina, and then some of them are not as strong but can be strong in certain arenas or certain situations because they're in their city. I see the grandson that will take over my nephew, who is the gatekeeper to our genealogy. I see that already. I have my sons. My sons are great. They are just, you know, I have no females. I have all kani. So it is about those kani but they're not going to overlap one another. Those of the land will do the land. And they're very big about what is important to family. you know, and again, it's going to be that shelter over your head, that food, you know, under that food, it's going to be clothing on your back. So they are in the perfect environment, because I have homestead and it's an acre, that they can plant lao and watch my lao also plant the food that they need to, that they can barter with. Mokai, we can still barter. You know, the Awana, they can still barter. I think we're the only ones that have a slaughterhouse for a deer, for venison. We're the only ones that have that. So this is stuff that can be so, you know, I mean, this is just great, great stuff. And then we're still ohana because we've grown up with everybody. We're in Ireland with a little more than, well, more than that, more than just a little bit. I think closer to now, I would say maybe 6,500, maybe between 65, 7,000 people. Our babies are coming back. And they grew up with this. So, you know, they're able to live off the land, live off the ocean, share with ohana. Female spirits are a lot stronger than male spirits. Not that they're not strong people. I just know that if female are stronger, they are stronger. You know, they're the glue to the family. They are the family, and they're female because they bear the children. So, and we know that, and we know that in our culture that females are what's the word I'm looking for? Not stronger, but they are the ones that, you know, they are the queens of the family. You know, you have a queen in the house, you're not having a king. You find those people because they're there. We've got a lot of them statewide, and I can be honest with you to say today there's about 500 of us statewide. You got to know that you're part of the Aina. So when the Aina talks to you, they're going to send those people to you to say, this is who I go to. This is who I go to. So every moku get, every moku. And then sometimes every finger is in the moku. It's crazy. It's crazy. So you gotta go revive those wonderful people that are still alive doing great stuff. Well, you know what, it's never gonna go away. You know, even though people come that are looking for healers, that is the biggest tool engine that everybody uses. So I get people say, well, I Googled. What did you Google? You know, so they Google for healers. And eventually they're found here or, you know, on another island. That will never go away as long as there is energy behind your work. You're not allowed to quit. Our Ainas are so forgiving. So people come to heal. A lot more people are getting into healing. My whole thing is pick one thing and be good at it. The Aina has showed now that it is about a blend, and that blend would be more education, especially in the different farms now that are up. You know, Ho'o'olo Aina is one. You've got them up, and they're doing multi things, but they're rejuvenating the Aina. They're taking out the invasive plants. I don't see retirement at my age. Eventually, I know that I will be one of those kupuna that will end up being a storyteller, and I love that. But it'll be the right time and the right place. Being able to encourage the newer kids that are coming up, that are really doing a lot that their ancestors did before, going back to the mokus where their families grew up. So my hope is to be still alive, to see that unification with all our families as it was before, where we gathered together. You know, Sunday dinners were mandatory. You know, everybody showed up, we had dinner, go home, thank you very much. You know, so it was that time to share. Do you. We're so busy out there doing for everybody, we don't know how to do you. So my recommendation for all the kids that are coming up, that are on this pathway, do you. I really work hard at trying to schedule time for myself and for my family. But I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother now. So, you know, grandmothers are the guys that are fun. They're the party people, you know, and then they go home. You know, okay, you're going to spend the night, okay. But then you go home, you know. So it really, for me, it really is about that time that you can carve out for you. It's so important. I watch funny movies, Hallmark. Nothing, cartoons, you know, Moana. I watch all these great things. I have learned that in order to give me joy, that if I'm, you know, if I really need my house to be sprinkling, I put a shout out to all my kids, and they come with everybody, and we just do it all one time, because my house is like a revolving door. So, and you know, I'm thankful my grandchildren are so happy to be at my house. They come to swim, and then they come upstairs and they do whatever their movies they're gonna do. And I'm so thankful that my babies get in bed with me. You know, they in bed with me, and that's how we all grew up, doing that. So I remember when I used to jump in bed with my grandparents. It's a great thing, but you gotta do you. I think if I was to do it all again, I think that would be one big important piece. Because we don't have that time, we don't take that time, because we don't give ourselves permission. Well, everybody has something that we like to do. I mean, whether it's walking on the beach when there's nobody at the beach, if you're getting up at 5:30, or if you're on the beach at 6:30, you always have something. It'll be something. I mean, a lot of people say, well, I don't know what to do. Well, what do you like? Do you like ice cream? Then find an exotic ice cream place. Don't go to Ben & Jerry's. Don't go to Baskin & Robbins. Find a place that, you know, the Hyatt. Go to the Hyatt. Just go in and have dessert. You know, but you want to give yourself something bigger instead of in the same rut doing the same stuff all the time. There's got to be something that you can go, wow, I want to do this, and I'm going to do it there. It's going to be a big inspiration for me to see my children make a difference in the world, exactly what they're doing now, being as best as you can at that, and know that family always comes first. So it's important for me. And I think if I can portray that through my work, through my love, through my desire to help do Care Cause work, I think then my mission will be done. And with the hope of working with younger individuals to find their purpose, whatever that purpose may be, I think that's a big aspiration for myself.